and I have since been restored to full health. I was abused at home by my family for many years. My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses.
Beware the quiet ones, for they harbor the deepest secrets. This is the tale of Isabella Guzman, a seemingly normal teenager whose life took a dark turn. Born into the world like any other child, Isabella Guzman was once a young, innocent girl growing up in Aurora, Colorado. Known for her quiet demeanor and unassuming nature, she blended seamlessly into the background, her life unfolding in the suburbs of the mile-high city. Yet, beneath the surface, subtle signs of turmoil began to emerge. Isabella's mental health started to show cracks, her behavior shifting in ways that were both concerning and confounding. Schizophrenia, a formidable adversary, began to cast its shadow over her world, distorting her reality and isolating her in a realm of her own. At the same time, the familial bonds that should have provided solace were strained, buckling under the weight of discord and disagreement. Her parents' marriage collapsed, leaving Isabella caught in the crossfire of a bitter divorce. The relationship with her mother grew increasingly tense, a volatile cocktail of resentment and misunderstanding that was left to simmer beneath the surface. Yet, to the outside world, Isabella was just another face in the crowd, a silent observer navigating the ups and downs of adolescence. She was the quiet one, the one who kept to herself, the one who was overlooked, her internal struggle masked by a veneer of normalcy. But beneath this veneer of normalcy, a storm was brewing, one that would shock everyone. The night of August 28th, 2013, would forever be etched in the annals of Aurora, Colorado's history. A night that started like any other, but quickly descended into a chilling nightmare. On this fateful evening, a young woman named Isabella Guzman, barely 18, committed an act so heinous it would shock the community to its core. Isabella Guzman, a teenager with a turbulent relationship with her mother, chose this night to vent her rage in the most gruesome way imaginable. She stabbed her mother, Yunmi Hoy, a staggering 31 times. The once loving home morphed into a scene straight out of a horror movie, with Isabella as the terrifying antagonist. The night's eerie silence was shattered by a desperate 911 call. The voice on the other end, Robert Guzman, Isabella's father and Yunmi's ex-husband, reported the horrific crime. The mother, he said, had been brutally attacked by their daughter. The police, upon arriving at the scene, were met with a sight that would haunt them for years to come. Isabella, however, was nowhere to be found. It was only the following day that she was apprehended after being spotted by a vigilant pedestrian. The young woman, who had just committed an unthinkable crime, was now in the hands of the law. Her arrest marked the beginning of a complex and contentious legal battle. The case would captivate the nation, bringing attention to issues of mental health, family dynamics, and the justice system's capacity to deal with such complex scenarios. In the quiet suburb, a life was brutally taken and another irrevocably altered. The deadly night of August 28, 2013 remains a chilling testament to how quickly lives can be turned upside down, and how the actions of one individual can send shockwaves through a community, and indeed an entire nation. As the gavel fell, the trial of Isabella Guzman began, a trial that would reveal shocking details. The courtroom, usually a place of order and quiet deliberation, was abuzz with whispers and speculation. The name Isabella Guzman, once just a name, had become a chilling tale of a daughter's violent act against her mother. As the proceedings took off, the defense attorney stood, a figure of calm amid the storm. With a clear voice, he announced Isabella's plea. Not guilty by reason of insanity. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The plea was as unexpected as the crime itself. It was a daring move, a plea that would hinge on convincing the court of Isabella's mental state at the time of the crime. To substantiate this plea, the defense presented a diagnosis, one that would bring a new layer of complexity to the case: schizophrenia. Isabella, they argued, was not in control of her actions at the time of the crime. She was suffering from a mental illness that distorted her reality, leading her to commit an act she otherwise would not have. The prosecution, on the other hand, had a different narrative. They painted a picture of a cold and calculated crime, a premeditated act of violence. They argued that Isabella's actions were not the result of a mental break, but a conscious decision. The courtroom was a battlefield of narratives, and at the center of it all was Isabella Guzman. Her face, often expressionless, gave little away. Yet her plea and her diagnosis prompted a question that hung heavy in the air. Could a mental illness truly absolve a person of such a heinous act? The trial was a journey into the mind of Isabella Guzman, a journey that would uncover uncomfortable truths and challenge societal perceptions of mental health. It was a trial that would not be easily forgotten. A plea of insanity, a diagnosis of schizophrenia, the courtroom was left in stunned silence. Justice may be blind, but it never sleeps. The verdict for Isabella Guzman was about to be delivered. The courtroom was a theater of anticipation. A heavy silence hung in the air as every eye focused on the judge. The gavel fell with a decisive crack, sealing Isabella's fate. She was found not guilty, but by reason of insanity. Her diagnosis? Schizophrenia, a mental disorder that distorts the mind's perception of reality. This ruling, however, didn't mean freedom for Isabella. Instead, she was ordered to a mental health institution, an outcome that sparked a flurry of public reactions. Some saw it as a just verdict, an acknowledgement that mental illness is a serious, debilitating condition that needed treatment, not punishment. Others, however, viewed it as an escape from justice, a loophole that allowed a convicted murderer to avoid prison. In the aftermath of the verdict, Isabella's life took a drastic turn. She was no longer a free woman, but a ward of the state, her life dictated by the rigid routines of the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo. Her days became a cycle of therapy sessions, medication schedules, and monitored interactions. In 2020, 7 years after her sentencing, Isabella petitioned for release, claiming her schizophrenia was under control. This plea for freedom, however, was rejected. The authorities deemed that she still posed a risk to society, a decision that once again stirred public debate. And so the woman who had once been the center of a high-profile murder trial faded from public memory. Isabella Guzman, once an ordinary teenager, then a convicted murderer, now existed only within the sterile, controlled environment of a mental health institution. Sentenced to a life within the confines of an institution, Isabella Guzman disappeared from public view. In an unexpected twist, Isabella Guzman resurfaced, not in the news, but on social media. The traditional halls of justice and the sterile confines of a mental health institution were exchanged for the pulsating, vibrant world of TikTok. An old video of her court appearance was unearthed, going viral and thrusting Guzman back into the public eye. Her face, once a symbol of a horrifying crime, was now the subject of fascination for millions across the globe. The video, a mere few seconds long, was shared, liked and commented on by thousands, sparking debates and discussions about her case, her alleged insanity and the circumstances of her crime. The controversy didn't end there. The very platform that catapulted her into unexpected fame also became the medium for her plea for freedom. In the year 2020, 7 years after her conviction, Guzman petitioned for release. She claimed her schizophrenia, the very reason for her not guilty verdict, was under control. This statement, coming from a woman who had committed such a chilling crime, was met with a mixture of disbelief and speculation. Questions arose. Could someone with such a severe mental illness truly recover? If so, did she deserve a second chance? Or was this a manipulative tactic, a ploy to escape the consequences of her actions? The online community was divided, but the court's decision was clear and unyielding. Despite her claim of being cured, Isabella Guzman remains in the Colorado Mental Health Institute, her story a chilling reminder of the depths of human psyche. Her unexpected fame on social media may have shifted the narrative, but it did not change her reality. From the confines of her institution, she continues to be a haunting figure, a grim testament to the destructive power of mental illness when left unchecked. The story of Isabella Guzman, etched in the annals of true crime, serves as a stark reminder that sometimes the monsters we fear are not lurking in the shadows, but are hidden within the human